lesson, we're going to talk about calendar setup 101. Calendars, of course, are the useful way of managing appointments in a system, but they're extremely powerful. And when applied correctly, they can really turn into the operating system of somebody's business. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about creating and managing new calendars, and then how we would set up a calendar team, an event, and create multiple calendars in one team calendar. Let's jump right into the screen share and show you how to do this. So to start off, we're going to show you the calendars area. So if we were in the dashboard, we'd navigate to calendars. Here you can see the appointments in my calendar because I'm now looking at my calendar. So that's the primary calendar. As I'm an administrator, I have access to all calendars and groups in the system. If I wanted to look at one particular calendar, of course, I could change that here in the filters. I could change the amount of days that we can see in one view. And really cool is that I can book an appointment directly in here. Now this functionality purely just here, just to be able to book an appointment, is extremely powerful. You can choose any calendar to book an appointment with, and it will show you only the available slots. So you can show this to someone in a very straightforward manner, and it could be for someone who hasn't implemented any sort of technology in their business before, an absolutely incredibly powerful tool for them to use if they run off appointments. Now let's move into how to actually create them. So in the calendars here, we have a number of calendars. So we have me and my staff. And then we have over here on the right-hand side, the team calendars. And I think they're now referring to them as groups. As the time of this recording, they did make a change from teams to groups. To create a new calendar, we would just simply click on New Calendar. And we would add in the name of the calendar. So this would be Ryan's coaching calendar. And then we can proceed to fill out the rest of the details. There is a default color code to events, but you can override that by specifying something here. With the appointment title, you can use variables, right? Now, you don't have the nice little shortcut to those variables, but you could go to any email template builder or something, one of the SMS or other elements within a workflow to grab those variable shortcuts as well, because they will work. The meeting location is set for a physical location. It's not asking for a Zoom link here. And then of course, which calendar, if you're linked to one, would you like to link it to? Now, I've got a Google Calendar linked here, and here's all the Google Calendars linked. Then it talks about a sync option. So a two-way option would be if an appointment is created outside of GoHighLevel, within that calendar system, it'll push that information into this calendar. One way, however, just reads the information on Google. It does not receive new events as something that it should enter into the GoHighLevel calendar. And this goes into a little bit more detail with Disabled Trigger and Smart, but essentially that'll be covered off in another section in the help. So what we'll do now is we'll click Save and Continue, and we'll go to the availability. So now we have the slot duration and the slot interval. The slot duration is as it says. It's the duration of each appointment. So, 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it is. The slot interval is the frequency of the availability of the appointment. And then, of course, we need to buffer the duration to put between those appointments. So usually something nice like 10 minutes for run over and preparation. The amount of appointments per slot, if you highlight over here, it's the number of appointments permitted per slot for the user. And if the number of appointments exceeds the slot for the user, then if you're using a round robin queue, it'll go to the next person. So that's about capacity planning and how much one person can handle within a particular slot. The number of appointments that you want to allow per day is here. Now the scheduling notice is extremely powerful as well. This would apply to literally anybody that's doing calendar preferences, but I found this to be particularly helpful for companies with distributed workforce sales teams who are receiving new appointments being put into their calendars, and they all have different preferences. So most of them would say, I need at least a day to prepare for meetings, but if they don't, then you can just leave it blank. Or they could say, no, this needs to be at least, 5 days in advance or something like that. Then they're able to put their office hours in, and when they want to accept appointments, this is not their availability in their calendar. This is explicit availability hard-coded into their calendar here. Then, of course, in the confirmation area, we've got form settings. Now, you can use a form other than the default, which is usually first name, last name, email address, and you can say, well, I want to grab some additional information, some additional qualifying information. Again, I think that's an extremely powerful tool. You can take a payment so you're essentially putting a payment gateway before they can make the booking. This would apply to some businesses and use cases for sure. Notification and additional options. Letting the calendar auto confirm your appointment. So this is always a good idea. If your availability is doing the work for you, then you should kind of by default be available then. If you turn that off, you do need to confirm appointments. So it's a manual step. So you get notified of something to confirm, you then need to confirm it. And then you need an email address to send those new appointment alerts to confirm. Now that confirmation email does look like it isn't confirmed, even though you already have that switched on. So just be aware of that. If you want the Google Calendar to send invitation update emails, so this is basically saying if changes happen on the Google Calendar end, make those changes and update emails and attendees back in GoHighLevel as well. Allow the reschedule, allow the cancellation. This is for the user making the appointment. And then any additional notes, including variables or tags, can be linked here. Links to reschedule and cancel are already populated by default. For remarketing purposes or audience creation, you can include a Facebook pixel ID and then a custom code. So this would be an additional tracking code. This happens on calendar load. So this would be something like Google Analytics. It could also be something like Hotjar, where you actually want to see the behavior of when people go to book an appointment, what are they clicking, right? Because you can have, with something like Hotjar, it's actually recording the user experience. So where do they click? What do they actually do? What does the user experience journey look like? So using these custom codes for tracking and analytics is extremely useful. Then, for form submissions, you can control how the confirmation page is to be displayed or redirected. So basically, by default, it'll just go thank you and redirect to a standard thank you page. Or the form would be redirected to a custom URL. Of course, if you are using a custom URL, that would then maybe indicate that there's a conversion action that you want to track. So if you are using some sort of analytics tool where you have a conversion and a value associated with those conversions, you're easily allowed to add those URLs right there. That's it. I'll see you in the next lesson.